Yes, good evening, all. So, yesterday we started this session and just have given the brief idea what we are discussing this project. Okay. Yes. Now we will start the concepts one by one. Okay. First of all, this is React demo for project batch. Here we are discussing the project. Okay. For the project, what are the main contents are required? Yeah. You should have idea on HTML. You should have idea on CSS. And next one. So bootstrap, like that. These are all the concepts we will discuss here. Okay. So if you observe any project, as I told you in last class, so every project contains both design phase and coding phase. Okay. Design phase, we are creating user interfaces. Yes, what is that? User interfaces. So without screens, can you implement the logic? No, not possible. Compulsory screens are required. Yes, compulsory screens are required. Otherwise, you cannot implement the logic. Yeah. For the screens designing, what the technologies we are using? HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap. So these are the main technologies. HTML provides controls to design the web page. CSS provides styles. And Bootstrap we are using for what? For the responsive. Okay. Yes, you want to work with the responsive concept, then we are taking the support of this Bootstrap. Like that, HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap. These. So responsive means what is that? Compatibility of web page with any device. So that is the concept of response. Along with that, we are also using media queries. Yes. So media queries we are using to apply styles based on the screen size. Yes. For example, so mobile screen width is something like 420 pixels. Then some styles you want to provide if width is 800 and so something 30 pixels. Okay, then you want to provide some styles like that. In that point of view, taking the support of media queries. So this is the way how to work with this design screens. Yes. Now next one is coding. Coding point of view, we are implementing logics. These logics we are implementing with the help of React.js. Okay. Actually, coding, if you observe here, two types of codings we have. One is client-side coding. Yes. Second one is server-side. What is client-side? Which executes in browser. So that is client side code. And server side, what is that? Yes, which executes in server. If you implement any logics using React.js, okay, it comes under client side code. Got it. This React comes under what? Client side coding. Like that, here, two types of scriptings we are using. One is client side script and another one is server side script. A small diagram I will show you. For example, this is Facebook server or any other web server like Instagram or Flipkart. Yes. So all these websites contains many pages. In every page, so they are implementing client side code as well as server side. Yes. All website they're implementing both these things. Client side as well as. Now this is the browser. So you open browser in your system, you send the request for that web page. Then what the client side they implemented, that client side downloads along with the response into your browser. So there it executes with the browser engine. Means if you implement any logics by using React, yes, or JavaScript or Angular, etc., all these logics will download into the browser. There, these logics will execute. Yes. So that is the concept. Means according to the execution location, we are calling these scripts as client side and server side script. So if you implement any logics by using .NET, PHP, Node.js, those logics will execute where? The web server. So that is the concept. Yes. Now, for better idea, I will discuss one use case. For example, if you take login concept. Yes. Website, generally we are seeing the login concept. To work with this login concept, what are the steps are involved? Yes. What the steps are involved that we are going to discuss now. First step is design login. Next one, validate input. Input means text boxes, values. Whether the input controls contain the proper data or not. And password, retype password in case in login we don't have retype password. If you take registration there, password, retype password matching or not, email ID format is valid or not. These type of validations, everything we can provide here. Third one is send data to server. We are sending the data to the server. Yes. Next one, check username password is valid or invalid. So only login concept if we take, what are the steps we have? Okay. So once validation is completed, the credentials validation is completed, redirect to either welcome page or invalid user page. These are the steps. Now come to this first step. what are the technologies we are using to design the login page? HTML, CSS, and for responsive mobile, responsive like that, we are using Bootstrap. Yes. Next from validations point of view. Yes. Client side script. Okay, that is nothing but React we are using here. That's the second step. Next, sending the data to server. Yes. So Ajax we are using. That is also client side script. Nothing but React we are. Because once you send the data to server, then only server-side programmer can execute the logics and he will check whether the username password is valid or invalid. So for that, we are working with Ajax. Actually, in the fourth step, API service is available that we are connecting with this third step. Okay, from the third step, we are connecting with that API service which is there in that fourth step. Okay. Now here in this step, fourth step, check username password valid or invalid. There we are taking the support of server side script like so that is nothing but ASP.NET or PHP or Node.js like that. And once the server side validation is completed, after that, okay, so we are redirecting to the welcome page, okay, or invalid user page. In that point of we are taking the support of what is that? Yes. So single page application, nothing but a routing concept. So here it is React. Like that, not only login, registration, or any other concept if you take. So we have these common steps. One is designing the page, next one validations, next one sending the data to server, and check username password valid or invalid, like that functional point of it. So in this login concept, this is validation we are performing here, okay, with database. But based on the concept, that logic may change, but remaining steps are all same. So here means in the third step, second step, third step, and last step, we are using the client side coding. That is nothing but React.js. For that, we are using React.js coding. Yes. So that is the main concept of this. Means 70% logics in web applications were implemented with client-side technologies. Okay. Now, this is not our job, fourth step. So server-side programmer in companies, he will provide you API service. Okay. So now that username password, we are passing into that API service. At the time of calling that API service, that username password, we are passing into that API service. So as payload. So in our project also, login concept is there, registration concept is there. Next one, add to cart, like that payment concept, many concepts are there. So in all concepts, for every concept, this designing is there, validation is there, and calling the API service by sending the data to server. The third step is there. For fourth step, one server-side programmer requirement is there in our project. In company separate team, we have that server-side team. So they will create the API services and those services they will provide to the UI developer. But in project, we don't have any separate team for the server side. So that's why here we are using pre-implemented API services, which already I used in the last projects. Yes. So those API services we implemented, okay, we developed using Node.js. Is it clear? Yes. And the fifth step also that API service returns the flag, success or failure like that in this scenario. In some scenarios, it will send some information like JSON format data, etc., etc. Based on that, again in front end, we'll decide. So whether navigate to the valid page or invalid page, or any error message like that. That is again in our control. Okay. Like that. This is why I discussed this concept now, because so how this project is moving. Okay. So what we are doing in this project, and what are the API services we are using. So Node.js API services I told you. So that's why you don't have any work in that area. Just based on our implementation. So what the concept we are developing? For example, we are developing the login concept. Then I will give you one API service to receive the data from front end, login data to validate. So your job is call that API service by passing username password values. Like that, when you are working with the registration concept, I will provide you that develop API service so that you have to access. Like that in companies, what the pattern they're following. So the same pattern we are using here. Okay. So this is for one idea I discussed. Okay. Yes. Now slowly you are getting some idea. So where we are using this client-side scripting language is what we can do. So generally in interview, they will ask you one question. Yeah. Why we are using client-side scripts? Yeah. Why we are using this client-side scripts? What the reason to use the client-side scripts? So based on this discussion, you got some clarity. First one, to validate, right? Input controls. So in validations point of, for example, open this website. Yes, Facebook. Now, you go to the search button. So this is one validation. Okay. Now, for example, yes, sign up. So display the messages like this. Is it clear? Like that, this is nothing but validations which we have. Yes. So these all validations you want to perform. Then we are taking the support of this client side scripts. That's the first point. Second one, apply dynamic functionalities on HTML. Yes, what is that? Yeah. On the HTML controls, want to apply dynamic functionalities. Then also we are taking the support of this client side scripts. What is the meaning of this? I will show you that. See, for example, I'm going to open Flipkart. This is a Flipkart application. And in this Flipkart, if you observe this, move the mouse over these images, that image is zooming, right? So that is one dynamic functionality. Okay. And if I click on any image, okay. Yeah. So here, this data, everything we are presenting. Okay. Actually, this is data coming from backend through API service that we are displaying like this. So means in React, we can use some functions here. Okay. Looping functions to display the data like this using the components. And now come to this. Yeah. So this is dynamic functionality. If I move mouse on this, yes, this big size image is coming here. And this is we can display by using bootstrap, zooming image. Like that, this type, all this type of functionalities you want to implement. Then we are using that front-end technologies. Old days, programmers used to work with JavaScript. But in these days, programmers using the next level technologies of JavaScript like React, JS, Angular, etc. etc. Yes, is this clear? Yes. Next point, yeah, work with Ajax. You want to work with the Ajax, then also compulsory JavaScript or next level technology of JavaScript like React, Angular. We are using these technologies. Next one, to execute logics. Now, according to our discussion, we got some clarity. Yeah. If you implement any logics, those logics execute where in browser or server.
Browser.
Yes. So if you implement any logics using client-side script, those logics execute where? In browser or server? In browser, right? Yes. Now here, the execution, the result of these logics are very faster than server-side logics result. So one small diagram I want to show you. For example, bank applications if you take, okay, this is one page, EMI calculation page. Now user sending the request for this page, then that page will download into the user system. User means client. Okay, here this programmer displayed some controls to enter the principal amount. Okay, yes, and the tenure, how many months, like that. And when he click on this calculate button, yes, EMI calculation I want to display. So that EMI calculation you can display by using these values. So principal amount and tenure, like that. Okay. So there should be some calculation based on the rate of interest. Yes. Based on the rate of interest. So how much EMI is generating to the user. So that information we are displaying here. Okay. So in this scenario, what we're doing here, so some logic we are executing. So client side or server side. Okay. Your developer will implement the logic in client side. Or else if the website they want to develop the server side logic, then server side programmer will come into the picture then. So what is the benefit if it is client side logic? So client side logic downloads into the browser, and when user click on this, client click on this button, their only logic is available. It executes and display the result here. Means immediately client can see the result of this. It is clear? Yes. In case if it is server-side script, then what is happening? One request is going to the server. There it is processing the code. Okay. One request is going to the server. There it is processing the code. And response is coming back to the client system. For this entire request and response, it takes some time because it depends upon many parameters like internet connection, network traffic, okay, like that. So that's why, due to that reason, so most of the logics these days, okay, they are implementing with this client side scripting. languages. It is clear? Yes. So that is the concept of this. So this is some information because before starting the project, you should know these technical keywords, okay? Technical words, what is client side script, what is server side script, what is request, and where client side script executes. So you don't have, you need, it is not required to have idea on server side coding, but you should know what is that. Yes. So that is the main concept of this. Okay. Yes. So this is about the way how we are going and what is the, okay. Yeah. In which location we are using the client side scripting languages. Okay. So that clarity I have given to you. Now we need to start the web page designing. Okay. By using that HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, media queries. After that, apply the logics on this web page by using React.js. That is the concept. So before that, one concept I want to discuss. Yeah. Designer. So the designer, who is creating user interfaces by using HTML, CSS, Bootstrap like that. Okay. Yes. Next one, UA developer, the person who is so yeah, developing, okay, client side logics using React. Next one, Angular, in old days JavaScript. Next one, server programmer or server side programmer. With this, the person who is working with the server side logics, you can call that person as server side programmer. Yes, we are calling that person as server side programmer. Next one. Yes. Full stack, you heard about this. Yes. Who is full stack programmer? The person who is working with that both front end plus back end. So that person we are calling as server side programmer. I mean, sorry, full stack programmer. Front end means UI development. Back end means server side. Yes. Yeah. So these are roles. Now your job role is UA development. So in old days, we have separate team for designing and separate team for UA development. But these days, both are combined from past few years. Okay. There is no separate team for designing. Means that is our pain for us. Definitely you have to work with both designing and development. And second point, see, in old days, we have separate server-side programming team and separate database team. But these days, in many projects I am observing, so the person who working on the server side, okay, that programs, he must know the database. So like .NET programmer should have idea on database, Java programmer should have idea on Java, sorry, database, PHP programmer should have idea on database like that. But few years back, separate database team companies used to maintain, but not now. And next thing is, so this is also increasing now. So one programmer, they're looking for all these functionalities, many companies. Okay. See, so it is drastically changing based on the competition and resistance and all. Okay. So the golden period 2000, okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then in 2008 recession is there, but record 11, 12. So that time, separate designing team, separate coding team, okay, in companies they maintained. But now designing and front end coding, only one person is working. Okay, means the UI developer should have idea on this designing also. And in old days, server side programmer separate or database team is separate. But these days, server side programmers should know the database concept. Like that, the, this type of requirement they are posting in the job portal. And mainly now they are looking for the full stack programmers. Means one person should work with all these areas. Okay. So that requirement also many openings we have in this full stack programming. Means both client side as well as server side logics we should know. So that is the concept. 1 second, let me connect the charger. Yes. So that is the concept of this. Anyhow, okay. So you got clarity about this UI developer, what is the role of UI developer, what we can do. Okay. Now, yeah, I will ask you one question based on the live website. So I hope you can answer. So where they use it the client side coding, where they use it the server side coding. Okay. So because we discussed about this, okay, client side and server side where they are using. Okay. For example, here, yeah, Flipkart is there. This page is open. Now I will ask based on this open page. Okay. For example, yeah, here best of the best of electronics. Something is there. When I click on this, what is happening? So one request is going to the server and it displays this output, right? Between that, what is happened? The request is hitting one API service. Okay. One API service. That API service is providing some information. That information we are displaying like this by using the client side scripting languages. Now, if you observe, inspect a network, now you can see. So now see, if I click on this, next page it is opened. Okay, 1 second. For example, here, so these are all the API service calls, what we have. Okay. So we will use this browser developers tool. I will explain you how to work with that. So just let me drag this a bit more. Okay. All these are the API services. Okay. I will tell you one thing. Yeah. See, if I type books, then what is happening? You tell me. I'm typing books. This is the best example we can discuss. So if I type books, it displays books, novels, books, shelf, books for kids like that. So this information is coming from where? From server, right? Now you
Yes.
can see, yeah, inspect. If I go to the network, okay, now see, let me delete. So just let me clear this once again. Yeah, I'm typing B O C. Every time what is happening, one request is going to the server. Okay. Now let me click on this switch XSL. Okay. Only API services. Now we can see in this payload, if you observe this, okay. Yeah. In general. So sorry. Let me expand this. Yeah. Here, see. So it is calling one API service. And see, this payload BOO, it displays here. Means every time one request is going to the server. Now, if I type K, now see auto suggestion is called. Means it is hitting the server. So this is API service. This API service from front end programmer is calling and he is passing the data. Which data? Yes, in the text box, what is entered? Now you can see BOOK is entered. Now this API service is providing some response. See, enter this response here. JSON object is coming here. Yes, this JSON object they're displaying on the browser like this. Okay, so where in this suggestion they're displaying like this. Is it clear? Like that, this is the concept how it is working the backend. Means if I type anything here, then what is happening? One request is going to the server and that response is coming to the browser. Now here I'm typing every time the request is going to the server. So here, this is the combination of front end and back end development. Okay. So as a UI developer, whenever user is typing the character, your role is call this auto suggestion API service by passing the text box value. That is your first role. Then when you call that auto suggestion, then what are the logics that server-side programmer implemented on back of this API service? Those logics execute, nothing but connect with the database and fetching the data from this database. That data they are providing in the form of JSON. Again, your role is nothing but display that JSON information in the form of these options here. Yes, like that. This is this type of implementation we are doing in companies. So everything we have to do except the implementation of this auto suggest in this point of that is the role of server side program. Like that, any concept if you take here, so compulsory front end coding is required for that concept to call the API service. And what the data is coming from this API service. Okay, that data again we are presenting based on the requirement like this. Is it clear? Yes. So that is the concept of this. Okay. One simple example. Okay. So this is not only for in this point of view. For example, if you take login, just click on this login. Okay. So now if I enter any mobile number here, okay, something like mobile number I have given and request to, yeah. So here 70 given request OTP. Then what is happened here? Now one API is going to the server. Okay. So this API is going to the server. So that API service it is sending to the server here with some data. Is it clear? Like that, based on that, they are providing the information to the programmer. Okay. Yes. So OTP generated, generate is coming here. Okay. So like that, this is the OTP what is generated here in that mobile. If you enter this OTP here, okay, to this mobile number, it is sent. I given 917093412345. So like that, your role is what is your role in this scenario? You have to design this space, and when user enter the sign up button, call this API service, generate API service, then server side programmer will generate the OTP. Okay, so you have to display enter OTP text box there. Like that. Yes. So here the job of client side is high means more than the server side job. That is the main thing. Anyhow, these type of concepts we can implement with this front end development. So slowly you will observe those things. Okay, if you observe these things, you will get the clarity. In a day one, you can't understand each and everything. Okay, if I impose like this, okay, day by day, then you will get some clarity about this. Okay, yeah. So this is the main thing. Okay, from tomorrow onwards, we'll start the concepts. As I told you, okay, HTML, I will start HTML. HTML means, okay, we are not spending more days, 1.5 day, we are spending with HTML. After that, designing concepts we are implementing. So this type of screens, how to design, okay. So this is dynamic data, but before that, one template is required, right? Static template. After that, we are filling this template, this gap, everything with these products, okay, by using React and all. So first of all, this template and these menus, everything. So by using the Bootstrap, you can display these menus. So that we will discuss one by one. Okay. Yes. So anyhow, starting demos, we are spending around 45 to 50 minutes. I hope you got the clarity in this. Any questions you want to ask me? Hmm? Okay. Then we will meet in the tomorrow class. Okay. Yes. See you next class. You can drop now. Thank you.